What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to A Certain Preview. Happy Wednesday. It is Jake and Brian here for another episode of our main show. We are on number 7, I believe, if I'm getting the numbers correct. And we're here again to talk a lot of Schmoedown stuff going on in the world. A little bit of a different show today, obviously, because there hasn't been a whole lot of matches since our last show. We covered 4 on our last episode. We only have 1 to talk about today, which is Oyama versus Rocha. And we will get to that, but we have a lot of stuff in our quote-unquote breaking news / league update that we do at the beginning of the show. It's more so just things going on in the league with competitors or rules or trades or anything like that. And not so much any trades or anything like that. Obviously, the world is kind of in chaos at the moment, and that puts a lot of things on pause, including a lot of the stuff going on with the Schmoedown, and obviously. And so, but we do have some cool things to talk about because Backstage happened yesterday, and some very interesting things were talked about on Backstage.
It was a good episode
with some very interesting people. Definitely one of my favorite episodes so far because of those who they had on it. But before we get to that, how are you doing, sir?
I'm ready to talk some Schmoedown. Just for what we've taped, I literally just finished watching Backstage like 20 minutes ago, so I'm fresh in the head, ready to go.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, we only have the one match to talk about, which we covered on our reaction. You can find that on the channel already, Oyama versus Rocha. Our reaction to the latest teams match, which is the Pride versus Butcher Boys, will be up tomorrow, so check that out. And then obviously things will change for the channel as well a little bit going forward because of COVID-19 and everything. Christian mentioned that they may be switching to just one match a week, which will slim our reactions down. It's not going to stop the main show. We'll just have to find things to talk about, and
or maybe people to talk to.
Yeah, and we're going to have guests, and we were scheduled to have someone today, but unfortunately that said someone had to call into work or get into work today. But luckily, it looks like we scheduled something for next week as well, and so we will have a guest next week, hopefully. Someone that we've been wanting on the show for a while. We wanted him as the first guest, but things just didn't work out as far as craziness and planning. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into this breaking news / updates going on in the Schmoedown. And like we mentioned, Schmoedown Backstage happened yesterday, and Harloff was joined by the usual John Rocha and Ben Bateman. But he also had special guests from Mara Knopic. Pretty much. Mara Knopic, Rachel Cushing, and Oyama. Mm-hmm. And so it was a very good episode. They all called in at certain points, video-wise, not just phone-wise. So we were able to kind of see facial reactions, stuff like that. But we're going to go in order and kind of how this all happened. And things were slowly leaked as this episode kind of just happened because they just got into random conversations and they just said, okay, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
There was no real schedule to it, and it just kind of happened. And so we're going to get into Mara Knopic first. Obviously, we know that Mara has been dealing with a lot of things over the last year or so. Her health has been... It's rough to hear about her health. It is. And
number one priority.
Yeah, and we wish her nothing but the best. And her and Dan, we wish them... everything going forward that, gets in their favor. But she got into some interesting stuff, and we're not going to cover the Knopic, Kalinowski stuff that happened, because she finally did kind of reveal her thoughts on that a little bit. Maybe we'll save that for a later episode, or when we have a guest, maybe we'll talk to them about it or something. But
maybe even her.
Maybe even her, exactly. But we're going to get into what's the stuff with Smets, because... their match was supposed to be the first one of the year for the live event. It was going to be this massive cataclysmic event of an ex-champion facing the new champion, 2 competitors who had very similar runs in their rookie seasons. And unfortunately, like we mentioned, Mara's health just got in the way. She went through some things and she just couldn't do it. And unfortunately for us, just as a fan perspective, obviously this is what's right to do. But that match is essentially put on indefinitely suspended for the time being. And in that place, Mr. Chandru The Chosen, is going to be getting a shot at the belt for the title. He beat Brandon Hanna last week, which it wasn't called it, but essentially it was a number 1 contention match. And so it'll be Chandru versus Smets. It was supposed to be the Houston main event, but because we canceled that, it'll be sometime in the near future. More than likely not April. It all depends on when they can film. Probably somewhere around May, I would imagine. But yeah, I mean, a lot to take in there, obviously. We can cover the Mara stuff first and then kind of get into Chandru Smets stuff. But Brian, just, thoughts on hearing this as they kind of revealed it through Backstage?
I'm still, like, obviously I'm not a day one person, so, like, this was kind of like my first, like,
introduction to
her. Getting to hear her talk outside of just a match. And I like her. She's very honest, to the point, and will say what she feels is right. And the thing that I grabbed the most, that I absolutely love, is when Christian asked her, what is some things that made you want to come back? And she said, I was tired of being Dan's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn right. Like, you do not let someone, I mean, you have your own history, and I mean, you come back there and make a name for yourself. I mean, I shouldn't even say make a name for yourself. You're a champion.
Did you watch her matches?
I've seen a couple of them.
You've seen a couple of them. You haven't seen the whole run, right?
No, I haven't seen the whole run.
So you should
yet.
go back and watch the whole run.
I'm definitely going to after what I...
She had... When I said that her and Smets, their run was very similar, it was very similar.
Yeah.
A few changes here and there, but they both kind of just came out of the gate as, like, just the top horse that just came chugging along.
Yeah.
And
she took out names.
Yeah, and
names.
Right now, I mean, she beat Rachel Cushing in a sudden death match that was arguably one of the best matches of all time.
Which she said it wasn't even a good match.
Yes, but the reasons why is because one of them had just gotten in a car accident and one of them was severely sick.
Yeah.
Like, it was just the things going on in that match was just like bonkers. But it's a good time for her to come back because, and we'll get into Chandru in a little bit, but if I'm being quite honest, I don't think there's someone that can stand up to Smets outside of Mara, in my opinion, in the Innergeekdom division right now. I think that Smets has a handle on Kalinowski. I think Kalinowski's kind of a little bit of wiped out in that division. Obviously he's taking a little bit of a break to focus on other things.
Yeah.
Not to say that he'll never give Smets a run, because he will. No. And they're like destined to go head to head against each other forever. But as of right now, and Mara's it's gonna take her time to get back on her feet, obviously, and who knows if that first match is gonna be a real thing, because her first match is gonna be up against Smets, like the champion, right? If it does still happen that way. But when Mara's on and when Smets is on, I don't think there are two people who are more even in the knowledge aspect. And they're such different players, which is why it's so exciting.
But they clearly have a
respect for each other.
Yeah, because she clearly loves him, and
you can tell that they have this friendly competitiveness towards them, where they just want to beat each other, even though they never play each other.
Yeah,
and it's very exciting to see. And it's an Innergeekdom match that I would like. It's something I would love to see. Mara is, outside of, like, obviously Rachel's always going to be a favorite of everybody's, but Mara's was probably one of my most fun to watch, just because she was such her, like she mentioned on Backstage, she doesn't have a character, she's just herself.
Yeah.
And Smets is like the epitome of what a character is.
Yeah.
And so it's two, like, just opposite ends. It's like red and blue, fire and water, kind of going at each other. And it's unfortunate we're not going to see it now, but I know for a fact that Smets wants it.
Oh, yeah.
And I know that she wants it, so it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, even if... I'm not saying this is going to happen. Even if he doesn't have the belt when she's coming back, I feel like
just the match
no matter what, that match will be the one that they
that match is a live event / throwdown / collision / spectacular match, no matter what.
Yeah.
That's
a pay-per-view match.
I think, yeah, exactly. And I think, if I had a choice, I would much rather see Mara have a few matches under her belt to kind of get back into it. But we also have to keep in mind that she's been on Dan's side for this entire thing that he's been doing too. So she's kind of still been in there, just not in the game herself. But it is unfortunate. We'll see it eventually. But like we mentioned, we want her to be her healthiest. So we want her to be.
We want you to battle it at your best.
Exactly.
Not slightly good.
We want her to be in the right headspace, mentally and physically, and not just for this Schmoedown, but just in life in general. And,
yeah, of course.
She definitely seems like, from her time on Backstage, she definitely seems like she's in much more high spirits than she was a little while ago.
Yeah.
And I think time away from the game always helps, but it almost seems like she kind of has that fire in her again.
Oh, kind of.
Which is very exciting to see, because when Mara has that little fire, she's fun to watch. She really is fun to watch, which is why Smets wants to battle her so bad.
Yeah.
If he can't get Rachel Cushing or Mike Kanowski right now, the next best, or maybe even the best, is Mara Knopic.
Easily. I can't. Whenever that happens, I will be right there when it comes out.
100%.
I can't wait for it.
That's honestly, I've never considered, because obviously financial reasons, and who knows what's going to happen in the world going forward, but if this was like a live event in...
Well, this was potentially, depending on her health, gonna be Houston.
Well, no, this was originally New York.
Yeah, no, I know, but he said at one point, he's like, well...
Oh, maybe. If it worked out, yes.
Yeah.
If it worked out, yes.
So,
but what I'm saying is, if...
Wherever it is, it's going to be a big...
This would be one of the matches one of the only matches I would consider actually, chucking the money out and flying and staying on a hotel to go see.
Yeah.
Because it's just, where I would absolutely love to see it, because it just fits, is San Diego. Obviously, San Diego would work, but 100%. The problem is it's hard to do it on Comic-Con weekend because of everything going on. We saw that last year we were there. But it just feels like that kind of an atmosphere of a match. And there's two very different entertainers on how they walk out, how they talk on the mic, and how they kind of smack talk. And
their smack talk is fun.
I would love to see a Smets smack talk against Mara. What that would be like, because it's so different compared to Kalinowski. It's so different.
I think it would almost be like a, I don't like you, but smile.
Yeah, it's like a playful. It's like a playful thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be very interesting, but I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, whenever it happens, we'll be the first one.
We mentioned that Mara might be the best test for Smets, but that is in no way putting down a chosen one in the name of Chandru, because this guy, we saw him last week up against Brandon Hanna, and he came out and he looked like the Chandru that has been hyped up for so long.
Yeah.
I had mentioned it on our reaction and on last week's episode, but he chose a category that I had not seen him play before, and he rolled through Star Trek.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a strength of his or not, or if he studied it, but it seemed to work in his favor. And he strayed away from his classic, Harry Potter and MCU that he's been getting a lot of. And obviously we know that last year, out of all the outside of Kalinowski, Chandru was the one that put up the biggest test against Smets.
Yeah.
And so they have a history. They have a history. And so this could be, if Mara's going to be waiting in the wings and we're going to see her getting healthy, and Kalinowski's going to be focusing on his team stuff with Chance for the time being, the 2020 could be the year of a Chandru versus Smets showdown for 2-3 matches. Who knows? I mean, we could literally see these guys battle it out all year, and maybe even see them not just now, but in a spectacular event or some kind of live event down the road, and they're just going back and forth. Obviously, it still goes to Smets at this moment. Like I had mentioned, I think that Chandru's may just be a little bit far behind. But that is not to say that if Smets misses one question or something, Chandru could be right there on his heels just nipping. But I mean, I love the match. I like the matchup. It's going to be a fun matchup. Again, it's going to be very different because we saw that Chandru has kind of been doing this heel thing lately, which is very interesting.
He's not being even told to be a heel. He's just
everybody's telling him to stop it, and he keeps doing it, which is incredible to see.
I mean, I was...
so he had the post interview on his match.
Yeah.
And Winston's like, hey, man.
Yeah.
And then he has the comment on Backstage.
I literally screenshotted it because I couldn't believe... I was like, oh my God. He said, he said... Yeah, move on, Smets. Oyama left and joined the swag squad just like the IG belt is going to.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, oh.
Yeah, and they stopped what they were talking about and they talked about it. Because Chandru's kind of obviously they wanted him to be a face. He's a face type of player. But he's blurring these lines a little bit. And it's just, and to us it sounds like, oh my god, we just like laugh at it because it's so playful, and it's almost like a mental side of the game where he might be getting into someone's head. I'm not gonna say he's getting into Smets' head because Smets he's in a dungeon.
Yeah,
he's locked away. Like
Absolutely.
Nothing can really get in there, but. That's not to say he can't get in someone else's head.
I mean, he could have gotten into Brandon.
Oh, he clearly did get into Brandon for sure.
So yeah, and then Smets with the clapback. Chandru is a villain. I'll expose him to everyone soon. The smack talk was like, you know, when they're the weigh-ins for a fight, like that's literally what it felt like while this was going on. Was like that face to face. Like, I cannot wait for this match, and I didn't think it would come this soon. So for me, because like he only lost by 1 point, and Rachel said it the best. It could be literally the first person to miss a point, and that's going to be the whole entire.
Well, we
game.
saw Chandru; he didn't miss one in his latest match.
No, I think the things that are going to be the big players, if anyone misses a question, and whatever happens with the wheel, those two things are going to be what it is. Are we going to give who we think right now, or?
We can't. It's obviously going to change because it's a while. It's a ways away. I mean, I'm going with Smets right now. I just think that it's not the safer choice, but the stronger decision. He's seasoned. He has the experience of being in these fights. He's done it 2-3 times beforehand. You know, he lost on a heartbreaker, so he has the experience of doing that. He knows how to beat Chandru already. Not to say that Chandru can do the same, but Smets has been through the ringer, right? Yeah. Chandru only has less than a handful of matches under his belt. You know, Smets has 2 handfuls of matches under his belt, and he's battled some of the biggest in the division so far. Whether or not Kalinowski comes back, I think he's just the guy to beat. I don't know. I don't see anybody beating him for the time being. I really don't.
Well, that's hard to even imagine other than throwing like a Mara or something.
But again, like I know we talked about it on maybe even our very first episode. You know, I had said that Mara can go off and just be someone who can really take down Smets. We just mentioned it. She needs a little time under her. You know, she needs at least one match to get under the lights again. Because being on the sidelines is a whole different story compared to being at the desk answering the questions and everything. Not to say she can't, because we've seen it happen before. But I feel like when you're for a title and then coming back after a year and a half off and going straight into a belt match is that's a hard task.
Yeah. I will say one thing that she said that could work to her advantage is wherever this happens, it seems for the most it's going to be a live show type event. And she said she thrives with an audience and people in front of her. So
she's an entertainer.
Yeah, exactly. So that could work.
So is he.
Yeah.
And we've seen the Smasher fans that come out in droves. When all these events happen, whether it's
when we were in San Diego, it was. I mean, we know he went to San Diego State, but it was wild.
They come out everywhere. They love the Smasher, they love the Dungeon, they love Kaiser. But again, Mara's a fan favorite too, and so it's going to be very interesting to see how that all happens.
It's going to be one of those where you're not going to hear boos when they come out. It's just going to be which cheer is louder. But
so we got off the Chandru Smets talk here for a second. But Chandru Smets.
Chandru, like I said, he doesn't miss very often. But neither does Smets. So it's literally going to be a battle of who's going to make the first mistake. And that almost kind of is literally what Smets' career has been in his competitions. I mean, he's not defined by that one mistake against Kalinowski.
Well, he washed it away now.
It doesn't matter right now.
After a KO.
Yeah. So, I mean, but that's literally the only way you beat him.
Yeah.
In a way is if he slips up. Because, I mean, you can play perfect. But he can also play perfect.
He can play a better perfect.
So exactly. So it's who's going to make that first trip, and where does the wheel land? Because if the wheel lands on a strength, good luck.
Yeah, and when I say a better perfect, what I mean by that is I think that every game always comes down to the wheel, especially in title matches, because and also we have to keep in mind this is going to be a 5-rounder.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little different of a game, especially for Chandru because he's never done that before.
Yeah.
Again, Smets has the experience in that.
Yeah.
But here's where I really do think it's going to come down to. We talked about how they're both really good at just answering questions. They have the knowledge. I honestly believe that it'll come down to someone having to answer a multiple choice and someone not having to answer a multiple choice. And so literally, like for example, Chandru gets 5 questions in the second round, just hypothetically. He answers 4 of the 5. One of them was a multiple choice. Smets goes 5 for 5 for 2 points. He wins by 1 point. Like, I literally can see the game coming down to someone just answering by multiple choice and them losing off of them answering by multiple choice. It's that type of game.
Or it even be the quick hand of a buzzer.
Yeah, and that comes into play.
Yeah.
It really comes into play. And again, the reason why I'm going... Well, not the only reason. Multiple reasons why, but the biggest reason is because Smets has the experience.
Yeah,
he has the experience of being there and not just doing the buzzer and the 5-rounder and all that stuff, but doing it with a live crowd. And whether or not this is a live crowd, this is going to be a live event no matter what, whether it's on live stream or in studio somewhere or on stage. It's just, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. But it's going to be really good. It's going to be really good because after what Chandru proved last week against Brandon Hanna, and we've talked about it, Brandon Hanna, he's a great competitor, but he's not a belt contender type of player.
Yeah.
But Chandru proved himself he got the TKO, right? Can you answer a 3rd round question?
Yeah, they didn't even.
Yeah, he got the TKO, and so he had it in the bag after the 2nd round.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be very interesting. I think that it's going to be fun to watch. The lead up is going to be big because it's something new. We've talked about it multiple times how 2020 is like this year of like new faces and people coming in and doing new things. This isn't Smets versus Kalinowski. This isn't Kalinowski versus Cushing. It's Smets versus Chandru. And that's going to be really fun to see.
For the time being right now, Christian said that Kalinowski's focusing on teams and singles. Mm-hmm. This might be the replacement, until Mara comes back, the replacement rivalry of that top spot Innergeekdom Championship. So, I'm
and
curious.
Not to say that Chandru's a replacement, but he could very well...
No.
Let's just, how many times in sports have we seen... for example, as a baseball player,
Oh, gee, I was shocked we went to baseball.
Sorry, I'm making a sports reference about baseball. For example, I'm catching... I'm doing my job. There's one game where my groin is just bothering me. I'm not feeling too well, right? I can't sit back there and catch. The backup comes in. He does a stellar job. I never get my job back.
Yeah.
Right? Chandru can come in. Let's just say hypothetically, because we're both picking Smets, but hypothetically, let's say he takes the title from Smets. He could be the guy for the rest of the year, and nobody could beat him because he's living off that high. It's happened so many times, and we keep talking about how the Schmoedown is a sport. It's looked at as a sport. The points, the way it's played, the competitiveness, it's looked at as a sport, and we've seen it so many times in the past where that's happened. It could easily happen. Look at Smets. He did it. Mara did it. There's so many people that have done it. Paul Oyama did it in singles. There's so many people that have done it in this league. It could easily happen again, but as we mentioned, we don't see it happening yet.
No.
It could come down to a fact where maybe this is an experience match for Chandru, and he comes back a couple weeks or a couple months later, and then he takes down Smets.
Yeah.
Who did that last year? Smets did that last year. And so who knows what's going to happen? But again, as we've mentioned multiple times before, we don't see it happening yet. I will say this, though. I would absolutely love to see a Kalinowski where he takes a break for a full year of Innergeekdom, and we see these new blood come in like a Chandru, and we see Amara come back, and it's them 3, and then Kalinowski come back next year and be like, I'm coming for all of you guys. I'm coming for all of you guys, because
I can see him coming and just
imagine him taking a full year break and then having Amara want to play him again because of their history, and a Smets play them again because of their history, or maybe Hector Navarro comes back and plays him. Just imagine.
Or should I help lead us into our next one?
Well, an example what about a Dan Murrell? He's like, I want to play Kalinowski.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen? But it's very exciting because and we've mentioned it before. The Innergeekdom and the Star Wars division are the ones to ride and die with this year.
Yeah.
They have the most hype behind them at the moment. The singles and teams are the bread and butter of the league. But the Innergeekdom and the Star Wars, they have such fresh blood in them, and they're so exciting to watch because there's so few of them. This is definitely one of the most Innergeekdom fights that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
Because there's such two different personalities clashing, and they've both proven themselves in different ways. But we're both taking Smets, obviously.
Yep.
So go ahead and lead us into our next topic.
Well, with Jake saying who knows what's going on next year, today we heard Rachel Cushing say that she is not ruling out the option of coming back, which seemed to almost blow everyone's minds.
It's the first time she said it.
On the episode, everyone was like, even Christian was visibly taken aback.
Nobody knew.
She obviously did say that she is enjoying what she's doing right now, which is the hosting or the co-host to Ellis or whoever. And she said she would not, very blatantly said it, if she does, it's not going to be this year.
Yeah, so the way it kind of led into it was they were getting on the topic, or not getting on the topic, but John Rocha just simply wanted to ask Rachel, hey, McWeenie retired. There's an open spot on The Usual Suspects with Sam Levine. Obviously, they just got engaged. So he just simply wanted to ask, is there a possibility, or have you thought about it, or have you guys talked about it? And that's when she said that.
I love when he said, with that, is there a possibility of you being Guy's partner, the light and the dark, the good versus the
honestly,
evil? Honestly, the evil.
You want to, and I hadn't said it out loud, but I had thought about that.
Really?
I really had thought about that, and it would be very interesting. It would be a very interesting combo, and honestly, they'd be very scary. They would be very scary. Now, I do think that part of this is Rachel just being put on the spot. And
I don't think
I'm part of it. I will say part of it. I'll say about 25% of it is her being put on the spot by Rocha and giving the fans maybe a little bit to taste with. But I do think that there's a high possibility that she comes back in the future because we've seen it multiple times before. But like she said that she would only do it. Or not that she would only do it, but she would do it, and then the first thing she would do is talk to Clark Wolf, because obviously she's not going to go into teams with another partner.
Yeah.
She'd want to go on with Clark first, but if Clark doesn't want to come back, then she would consider going to someone else. And obviously the first person she would go to is Sam, because there's an open spot right now, and because they're engaged.
Yeah.
So.
And with that, her saying she would not be back this year, when he asked her, she wasn't, like, I expected her to be like that, like, oh, like that. She was pretty stone-faced. Mm-hmm. Like, she was like, yeah, I've thought about it. It won't be this year, but it's in the future, possibly. I kind of like that she isn't like, yeah, I'll keep it open maybe this year.
She's more open about it.
Yeah, but I like that it's not going to be like retired, and then a couple months later it's like, okay, I'll be back. Kind of like what, Guy did it. McWeenie, we don't know. Christian clearly said today that it's schedule, not that the story or whatever, him being upset. So I kind of like that she is staying in that retirement.
She's enjoying retirement life.
Exactly, and she also said that the main key is going to be a balance of life outside of it and inside of it. And if that works, then she'll consider coming back. And that's what you need to do. Because, if someone like her is going to come back, we don't want, like...
half in, half out.
Yeah, half in, half out. Which I'm not saying she would do. But in the sense of, like... I want her to be able to give it her all just because it's her wanting to give it all, not just because she feels the need she has to appease us or something like that. It's an awesome little like tease to get us all excited that of the possibilities of, even if it's just her and not the Shire Wolves type thing. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine her on a faction? Like, that's scary enough as it is. Like we said, who knows It's not going to be this year, so it'll be at least season 8. Who knows what'll have changed by then? But it's exciting to think about her possibly coming back. And I mean, I never got to see a Smets versus Cushing. That would be...
Well, Smets has always talked about how he wants to play her.
Of course. So I would love to see just a for fun game of just...
Like an exhibition match.
Yeah, just to see that with no seriousness behind it, all jokes and fun. But yeah, it's exciting. My mouth went like, whoa. I did not expect her to say that. So
yeah, obviously I would love to have Rachel and Clark back. The Shire Wolves were my all-time favorite team to watch, and just in general with the Schmoedown. Clark had always been a favorite of mine from the very beginning when she stepped in, and Rachel coming in, the way she did, coming in the way she did with Ken, and then kind of just growing in the league. It's no secret that Rachel had struggled for a long time with the balance because she was pushing herself so hard to study on top of her work, which requires a lot for her. And she had mentioned it multiple times. She had been very open with the fans on Twitter and Facebook and just talking to everybody. And it was hard for her. And so she just needed a breather.
Yeah.
And she seems like she's enjoying it. She's really good on the desk. Her and Mark have great chemistry together.
They were fun to watch.
Yeah, and she's a great addition to the Innergeekdom games, or Innergeekdom matches, I say, obviously because she's an Innergeekdom player herself, and like they mentioned, she knows how to pronounce everything.
Her and Mara both saying, like, hey, can I be on this? So I can and he's like, yes, please. I'm not ruling it out, but
exactly.
Yes.
So that's fun. She seems like her turn from the very first time we saw her to now is such a drastic change.
Yeah.
Which is why I enjoy seeing her so much. And look, if there's a time for her to ever come back, it's when there's factions and her fiance is managing a team. Would I love to see a Guy Cushing matchup, or not matchup, a team? Heck yeah, like that would be so fun to see and interesting, because it's just so different from the last year or so, and they're different from each other, and they would have to work together, and it would just be a very interesting experiment. But what I would love to see is I would love to see a fast one pulled on everybody, and I would like to see both of them come out of retirement and see a Sam Levine, Rachel Cushing team come together.
You were gonna go for that.
Are you kidding me? That would be amazing. Sam and Drew, when they were together for Above the Line, and when they made their run at the teams, and when he made his run in singles, it was such a fun time in the Schmoedown. Like, I love seeing Sam play because, he was so serious about the game, but he also had this fun aspect to him. He would challenge stuff, and he would question things, and he would get into people's heads, and he knows how to smack talk, and then you pair him with someone as knowledgeable as Rachel, and it's just like, and obviously because they're together, there's a certain amount of ease to it. I know it'll probably never happen, but I would absolutely love to see a Sam and Rachel team together.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And how absolutely just devastating the league would look at them.
People would literally be like,
there's no chance. There's no chance, right? Like Rachel even said, like, they watch movies every night, and they stop before the movie starts.
First thing they do.
Yeah, they pause it at the title, and they're like, "Hey, what year is it? What year is it made? Who directs it? Blah blah blah." Like they're literally living the Schmoedown.
Yeah.
And so when you put them together, it would be unstoppable.
No.
But like you said, I don't see it happening for a while. I do think there's a high chance of her coming back at some point, whether it's for just one match or something, because obviously she has the history with Mike. Obviously, we never saw Rachel versus Smets. Which is right now the match that everybody would want to see.
God, that's like a holy grail match.
Yeah, an Innergeekdom Holy Grail for sure.
Yeah,
it honestly, in my opinion, it's bigger than a Kalinowski Cushing. Those matches are incredible.
Oh yeah,
those matches
we've
are.
Had, what, 3-4 of them?
There's 3 of them, but those matches are incredible.
Yeah,
but Smets' knowledge is more than Kalinowski. It's much more on par with the Rachel. It's just...
It would be amazing.
Like that exploding emoji head,
yeah.
Like that's what it would look like for everybody in the crowd.
A crazy match that I would love to see.
All right, well, let's move on from our breaking news, or our league news as we're calling it, and let's get on to our match discussion. As we mentioned up top, guys, we're going to be talking about Oyama versus John Rocha. The only match we have this week, luckily, because we are running at a hefty 35 minutes already.
Oh, my.
So yeah, look, this we had mentioned on our reaction. This is by far the outside of the live events, the biggest single studio match that we had this year. Both previous champions. Paul Oyama just lost the belt this last December. John Rocha has been on the hunt for it for a while now, ever since he lost it. But he's the legend of the league, essentially, right? He's been there forever. And because of the turn that Paul Oyama has made,
awesome,
and they talked about it on Backstage. The match was looked forward to more than normal because of that turn and what we saw with him on Final Exam, and because of John Rocha and just the history he has with the league. In my opinion, it definitely lived up to the hype because there were twists and turns, there were incredible comebacks, and it ended in a TKO, which is not something that we both didn't expect. Rocha walked away with the 2 points, but Paul's definitely showed up. He didn't seem like a guy that was hanging his head, right? He had to go up against someone, like that was as good as Rocha after going through what he did this last December. A great match, but obviously the turning point in the match that we could talk about is probably that South Carolina steal in the second round, which is just wild. And then he had the guest in his second round wheel turn with the Martian question for Matt Damon. It just, I don't know if, I'm not going to say it got in Oyama's head, but it just kind of like, it felt like it shifted the atmosphere of the match a little bit, and the momentum just kind of shifted. Even though Paul didn't change a beat, the momentum just started kind of creeping towards Rocha a little bit more.
It was very much it reminded me of when you play sports and it just literally feels like, dude, everything is going their way. What do I got to do to change that? Him just being perfect round, South Carolina, and it's just dude, can I catch a break? It's just one of those things that if you play sports, you know, where it's just there are games that you just are almost destined to lose. It feels like, and
I've been in plenty of those.
Exactly, I remember many of them too, and it's just you can't catch a break, and the fates have decided, essentially. And, that's kind of almost what it seemed to happen. And Rocha was just hot to touch. There was nothing that was going to cool him off. And he was pulling stuff literally out of the air and hitting it. And it wasn't just a 1 point thing. It was 2 points. And then it was more other. It's just
yeah, I mean, it was literally out of Oyama's hand.
Yeah.
Because honestly, outside of... Rocha did the perfect round in the first round, obviously. Not a huge deficit for someone like Oyama.
No.
They both got wheel spins that they liked. They both walked away with them.
Yeah.
They didn't spin a second time. Or Rocha might have spun a second time, but he was okay with it.
Well, it was the second time because he landed on the same thing.
So he chose it. They both chose the categories. Nothing went wrong for either of them. It just came down to two things. One, Rocha was just a great guesser. Yeah. A great guesser. And two, Oyama got one bad question towards the end of the match, and Rocha just walked away with TKO.
Yeah.
As simple as that. And like I had mentioned, that's the reason why Oyama wasn't holding his head down. He was fine with how he competed, right? He didn't show any kind of bad sportsmanship, or he wasn't sour about anything. The game just took over, and it was on Rocha's side. Yeah. Plain and simple.
And he even made reference to that and saying I would rather lose I did this than lose by 1 point.
I would 100% rather lose.
Oh, me too. That. Me too. Because then, like he said, you're dwelling on that. Well, dang, if I didn't miss that one, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, I would rather get TKO'd by someone just throwing out random guesses, and it's just the luck of literally, nothing's going to go your way, than putting up a knockdown, drag out fight, and then just losing by that one mistake, 1 point.
Yeah, the game is literally just it's dangling it in the palm of your hand.
Exactly.
Waiting for you to grab it, but then it's nope.
Yeah.
Nope. So you can't do anything about it.
Yeah. It almost seemed, especially after that first round, it almost was destined to not swing that way. And once he said that South Carolina, it was just are you freaking kidding me? He had a 1 in 15 chance.
Yeah, it was the southern state. How many southern states are there?
Exactly.
Or southeast state, I should say.
Yeah, and it's just pure luck at that point.
And you know what's funny about it is Oyama had an incredible guess. He said, I actually like that movie. They kind of have Louisiana accents in there. Yeah. I'm going to go with Louisiana. Who would have thought that it would have been South Carolina?
Exactly.
I think I said Mississippi.
And so I said Louisiana too.
It literally could have been one of 15 or however many there are down there. And it also depends on what you classify as a southeastern state. Is it on is on the Ocean League.
It wasn't even
is a little
Southeastern.
above.
They said South State. So it's literally... It is what it is, and that's kind of what it seemed like he took from it and how it went.
And I think I may have mentioned during our reaction, but that is a lot of credit to Winston because he has instilled this sense of like confidence in Oyama that even though you're losing and even though you do lose, there are still more opportunities.
Absolutely,
and that there's something positive to look at down or after the match, even with the loss. And that's what a lot of people don't get with this league is, or a lot of competitors don't get with other managers, I should say. I'm loving what Winston is doing with this.
Winston is...
I love... And he's a first-time manager. He's never done it before. He has Jay in his ear. They talk on the side. We haven't seen Jay physically because he's got things going on schedule. We saw him once. You are correct. But he knows how to handle people and how to handle them in the right way they need to be handled. Yeah. He led Oyama in the right direction. Even though Lon Harris pulled the card that he did, he's leading Lon in the right direction and kind of following him along the way he wants to go. Right? He's letting these people do what they want to do, but kind of just like he doesn't have the puppet strings. He's behind them being like, okay, you're making this decision? Okay, but I'll help you make this decision. Yeah. And so it's working out really well for Swag. That's why they're so high in the standings at the moment.
They're number 2.
And Oyama, if he keeps this momentum with this character, fans are already on his side.
People love him.
They're loving his character. And we could see a very different type of primetime for the whole 2020, and a primetime that could be ultimately very scary, and not just teams, where he seems to be thriving in, but singles, where he could really make a charge at some point if he gets over that slight hump. If he gets over that hump, we know how sports work. If you get over that hump, it's kind of like a downhill ride. Yeah. As soon as he beats one person, it could be game over for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, dude went on a 6-1 championship run at 22 years old as a rookie. Yeah. He has plenty of tread left on the tires. And one loss is not going to affect someone like him.
And we can get into it moving on from the Oyama Rocha stuff, but this leads into Rocha versus Irwin, which is the second time they have faced each other.
Rocha cannot wait for this one.
The first time was between them two for a live event title belt shot against Dan Murrell.
Yep.
Irwin, this is when Irwin made his run for the title. And so it's very interesting because... one, this exact scenario has happened before. Mm-hmm. But two, if Rocha wins, he's obviously facing his teammate, and not just his stablemate, but his teammate. And that obviously brings up a whole other conversation with the Finns Hockey Championship. We saw what happened last time with that. God. But let's focus on the Irwin-Rocha thing for a second. They mentioned on Backstage that not just Oyama was supposed to have 2 matches, a teams match with Final Exam versus Deep 13, which is a bummer because both teams showed off hard. They showed off hard. But Oyama was supposed to get his first Innergeekdom match, which would have been very interesting. I had no idea he was doing Innergeekdom.
Neither did I.
And then the other one was announced that they weren't able to do was the Rocha-Irwin match.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised that it would have been shot this... I mean, I guess I'm not surprised because of the way it's shot and everything, but because we just got Rocha and Oyama... we would have gotten it sooner, but I mean, I guess it's how it's all shot. But Rocha said on Backstage, he's ready now. Like, he's ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
I know Irwin's ready to go. It's number 2 for them. They're 2 completely different players from when they met the first time. And obviously, it's a shot at the title, number 1 contender match. And so, a lot on the line, we can make our picks here super, super early, but obviously, I can't go against my boy Rocha. He's my guy. I think he's going to make a shot. And I think we're going to see a Founding Fathers singles title match against the two of them, which will be maybe the biggest singles titles match to ever be played.
Yeah, I mean, Rocha said he doesn't give two you-know-whats about the title match.
That's all he's focusing on is right now.
Yeah, he wants this match more than anything.
He wants revenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually going to give it to Irwin.
All right.
The way he competes, where it's just, like, so calm and stuff, like, I don't know. I just, like... it's almost like, to me, like this like untouchable force that like you don't.
Oh, you can't phase him.
No, exactly. Mm-hmm. And like I could see Rocha getting flustered and something like that, and
how he is.
Irwin's just like hey,
100%.
But Rocha does have an advantage because he now knows what he needs to change and how he needs to come into this. So for me, this is a coin toss that I'm right now is falling towards Irwin, but I would not be surprised if Rocha walks out with it just out of pure experience, knows what he needs to do, knows how Irwin operates, and knows the mistakes he needs to change in order to win.
Yeah, at the moment, we don't know what single matches are coming down the pipeline.
Yeah.
But if it goes Oyama and Rocha, the next match is Rocha Irwin, and the next match is either Rocha Irwin versus Merle. Those have got to be the 3 best single matches that we've seen in a long time. It's a triple-headed monster, right? All in a row. Whether it's Rocha versus Merle or Irwin versus Merle, I mean, it's got to be considered one of the biggest singles matches of all time. I know that Bateman and Merle was considered that because of the runs that were going on,
and it lived up to it.
Yeah, and I don't know if it'll live up to that match, but the lead up to a Merle versus Rocha or Irwin could be. I mean, it could be considered the biggest of all time in the entire league.
Yeah, I just want to see Robert Meyer Burnett on the stage.
No!
At a title match, just like...
Keep the burning dregs away.
Oh, my God. Like, it would be so good. Him and Finstock and just like... Lord.
So here's the interesting thing, and I don't know if you know this because you're a little late. Robert Meyer Burnett is the one who burnt the Finstock mask.
Oh, I wondered what happened.
So that happened at the end of, I want to say, season 5. I might be mistaken on that. But it was the post credit scene to season 5. The very last event we had of the year. The last one was the Finstock mask in a small trash can lit on fire. The camera raised, and it was Robert Meyer Burnett laughing. So he burnt the mask, and so you would get that because that would probably get brought up. They have history together, but I don't see the way Rocha played against Oyama. I really don't see him losing. Yeah, I really don't. But Irwin is so scary. He really is scary. And if he lands on something, even though his knowledge is like it's almost everything. Yeah. If he really lands on something that's like legit for him,
if he hits
Spinner's
choice,
Rocha's done.
Yeah, if he hits Spinner's choice, it's that Rocha. Like you said, Rocha's probably done. If he hits opponent's choice, though.
But again, what do you give him?
Exactly.
And we'll get into that later on for sure.
Yeah, but I cannot.
Yeah, it's going to be a juggernaut. It's going to be fun. So hopefully that gets shot soon. We know everything going on crazy with the world right now, but we would love to see that match soon.
God, yes.
All right, Brian, let's go on to our league update, and that is a breakdown of the current point standings. Again, not a whole lot compared to what we talked about last week, but
no ties now. Yeah, no ties. Finally,
correct.
First place, Finstock Exchange, obviously. Excuse me. Obviously, at 14 points. Swag has a second place is at second place with 7 points. They are not the same with the Den because of matches. The Den is at third place with 7 points. That being because Swag has played 4, Den has played 5. Rockstars are in fourth place. They currently have 4 points. Burning Droogs are in fifth place with 4 points, but they have had 3 matches to Rockstars 2. Corky Mercs are in sixth place with 3 points. The Usual Suspects in 7th place with 2 points. Corruption is in 8th place with 2 points. That is because Corruption has had 4 matches. Usual Suspects at 3 matches. And then rounding out the bottom in 9th place is the Dungeon with 0 points, but only with 2 matches.
Yeah, it's a very interesting right now. Obviously, a lot of these factions haven't had a lot of matches, and who knows what's going to happen now that the world is kind of on shutdown. A lot of matches have been canceled and postponed because of studio things, obviously. And so I just, at some point, hopefully, obviously, we want the world to be better first.
Obviously, yeah.
And I think everybody in the Schmoedown agrees with that as well. But I would love to see the matches kind of even out a little bit. I know that that's what Christian intends to do. It's just hard with scheduling sometimes. And now that with something as big as this comes up,
makes it that much more difficult.
Yeah, and so I know that the Dungeon will get its chance.
Rockstars and Dungeons have only had 2 matches each. So.
Yeah, we'll see. We will see a Robert Parker, and we'll see a Kevin Smets, and we'll see more of Alex Damon and all those people down there. But it's in the next match I think we have is the Den versus the Butcher Boys, and the Butcher Boys are
you are throwing.
I want to say they're the Rockstars.
Yes.
Are they?
I
Vinny?
believe so.
No, I think Vinny. Who is? Oh my God! Why am I blanking? It might be the Rockstars. You go and look it up on the list. I want to say it's the Rockstars. Or are they the Burning Droogs?
No, that's the dungeon.
They are the dungeon?
Vinny,
they're even better. Even better.
Yeah, so there you go. There's a dungeon matchup.
Perfect. So the dungeon's going to get one more match, which will put them in contention for another spot. 2 brand new teams. 3 brand new players with Rachel Silvestrini.
We should have known that a name like the Butcher Boys would be
right? Yeah,
the dungeon.
Totally. That's on us, guys. Sorry. Yeah. For those of you listening, that's completely on us. And we should have known that because Video Drew wanted to be traded there because of Vinny anyway.
Yeah.
So now that I think about that. But yeah, a couple brand new players. Obviously, we saw Ben Goddard once. Ben Goddard with Rachel Silvestrini.
Yeah.
The Pride. And then we have the Butcher Boys over for the dungeon. It's going to be very interesting because we don't know at the moment what they're going to look like as teams. We saw what Silvestrini and Goddard have done on their own. Silvestrini has been on a team before, but she could fit in very well with the Goddard. And Goddard has shown some promise as of one match so far. But it should be a fun match.
I'm just excited for a Kate and Kaiser.
I know, right? Those two together, it's just chaos.
Those two, it's just
absolute
amazing.
Chaos. All right, Brian. Well, any last thoughts on this week's stuff going into next week and what we're going to be seeing?
No, I'm excited. Curious. The teams is so good this year. I'm loving the teams.
Every division is thriving.
It is. It really is, and I'm really excited to see new faces now, especially with Dungeon throwing up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their whole entire team's pretty much new people, and then the Den, obviously, who I picked for the whole entire season. But yeah, I'm excited with what's coming forward. Hopefully we get to see everything still, obviously, with what's going on. But yeah, should be interesting. I can't wait for Irwin and Rocha, though.
Yeah, that's the big one.
It's going to be a knockdown, drag-out match.
Hopefully we see it soon. But obviously other things are taking precedence. So.
Of course.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, there it is. This week's A Certain Point of View, number 7, if I'm getting that number correct, as always. That is Brian. I am Jake. You can find us, you see our new overlay up here. You can find us everywhere. Anchor, Apple, Spotify, Twitter, at Schmoedown POV. You can find us below, at Qui-Gon Jake, at Biavalicino. If I spelled your name right, which I did not.
Oh, sweet. AVOLICI.
I mistakenly missed an I on that
Shame
one.
on you.
But yeah, so you guys can find us there. Let us know down in the comments what you think of everything we talked about today. Not just everything that happened on Backstage, but Paul Oyama versus John Rocha. What do you think Rocha and Irwin looks like? What do you think of the standings? Everything we kind of touched on today. We'd love to hear you guys' thoughts.
Smets and Chandru.
Smets and Chandru, which is a big one. 2 big matches have come out of stuff that happened over the last week, which is awesome. So, as always, thank you guys for joining us. You guys can check out the show every Wednesday. It'll be up on Wednesdays if stuff goes correctly for us in our schedules, which as of right now it is because of lockdown. And you guys can check out our reactions every week. We have them on Mondays and Thursdays and Fridays, but because of schedules, that may just change to a certain one day a week because of the one match policy. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us as always, and we'll see you guys next week.